Good morning. Today is Sunday, September 15th, 2024. As we enter this high holiday season, I have questions. First, I do have to say that this past year has been an incredibly blessed year. For me personally and my family, wonderful things have happened. And for the Jewish people, there have been wonderful, wonderful things of resilience and strength and caring for one another. And we've spoken about this, and we will speak about this. But at the same time, I have some very difficult questions. What the Jewish people has gone through, is going through in the past year, for most of us is unprecedented in our lifetimes. The pain, the loss, the severity. For me personally, there have been some challenges. And I fear that as we approach these high holidays, that there may be many of us, and I partially include myself, who will have some very difficult questions. There may be those who are reluctant to participate because of their questions. So many things have happened, collectively and individually. And many of us are asking, why me, God? What do you want from me, God? Or more fundamentally, do I still really believe there is a God? Is there actually a God to whom I can address these questions? What's the use of coming to shul? What's the use of prayer with all that has happened and all that is happening? So imagine for a moment two Jews. One Jew is a Jew who possesses a simple faith, emunah pshuta, firm, simple faith. I don't have to investigate it. I don't have to look into it. I don't have to deepen it. There's a God. God hears my prayers. God is involved in my life. And that's it. That's it. End of discussion. And then there's a second Jew who delves into the relevant subject matter, who inquires, who asks, but how do I know for sure? What is the nature of this entity we refer to as God? How can I know? I don't yet have, if I'm honest, I don't yet have a certainty, a strong conviction about these things. But I want to know. I'm trying to figure it out. David Campbell wrote a fascinating article, and he discusses the opinions of some of our greatest thinkers, the Rambam, Maimonides, Abarbanel, Dan Yitzchak Abarbanel. And the Abarbanel writes, in line with the Rambam, Maimonides, that it is this second Jew, the one who is questioning, who is fully compliant with the mitzvah that God commands, And that first Jew, who is certain, who doesn't question, is not the one who is doing what God asks of us. Because, Abarbanel argues, belief in God cannot be commanded. Either you have it or you don't. But what God does command us in is to inquire, to investigate. And to inquire and investigate honestly, without bias, without ulterior motive. But according to Abarbanel, according to the Rambam, and many others, it is the questioning that is key. That's what God wants us to do. God wants us to question and investigate and inquire, to wrestle with these questions. The commandment is not the certainty. The commandment is the wrestling. In my life, there are moments when God is vividly before me, listening, responding, interacting. It all makes sense to me. And I must confess, there are other times when it does not make sense to me. When there seems to be a wall that is muffling or creating distance between me and whoever, whatever is beyond. I'm drawn to the approach of Abarbanel because Abarbanel assures me that what God wants is not certainty, but inquiry, to ask questions, to search, to consider. And I can do that. And hopefully all of us can do that. And so I say to you, this year in particular, if you have questions, if you have doubts, don't stay away. Come close. Ask. Argue. Discuss. Consider. Because that's what God asks of all of us. There's another remarkable essay that was written by Samuel Fleischacker. And he's discussing the meaning of the famous foundational verse, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. This is the verse, the most concise, fundamental statement of our faith, that God is one. And that passage, you remember, we say it every day, we read it in the Torah a few weeks ago. That passage continues that we should consider this fundamental principle of God's oneness. B'shivtecha b'veisecha uvelechtecha b'derech. When we are sitting down at home and we were walking on the way, we're out in the world. And Fleischacker quotes and suggests a number of different meanings of the distinction between at home and away. Not just in a literal sense, but in all kinds of senses, including this. He writes, we are at home when we are comfortable with our spiritual lives, confident of our God and our community and our practices. We are on the way when we feel distant from God, skeptical and alienated from our community or our practices. And he adds, there is both a God near us, or rather I should say, there is an aspect of God that is near to us, And there is an aspect of God that is distant from us. We've discussed this in several different manners. But Fleischheimer writes, the Shema allows for these both to be aspects of the one God, for us to be reassured that God is with us both when we are near and when we are distant. The one God is present in our firm, simple faith, as well as in the journey of doubts that tempt us to question that faith. And so we must listen for God's presence in both conditions. Wherever we are, especially on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, we should come to the synagogue. We should show up. We should ask, question, doubt, and listen for God's presence. My friends, I wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.